everyone. So today I wanted to share the projects that I completed for Fodder School 4 for the second half of the year. So these are projects that I did from the months of April through September of 2025 as part of Fodder School. For those of you who don't know anything about Fodder School, it's a year-long mixed media online workshop, class, learning experience. And at the beginning of each month, you get a lesson from an artist of how to create different kinds of papers, which are called, referred to as collage fodder. And then for the second half of the month, you use those papers in a project. And so this is a highlight of all of the projects that I completed in Fodder School 4, well, the second half of the year. If you're interested in what I did the first half of the year, I will link my video in the notes. So we started, Fodder School usually starts in October, so we started off in October, and in April, the project that we did was creating abstract art, and this isn't really my strong suit, so this was difficult for me, but there was a step-by-step process for creating these papers, and some of them turned out kind of cool. So from those abstract papers, what we did was create tags. And so these are some of the tags that I created. I had been doing a lot of doodles, floral doodles. The artist who taught us these techniques was Tracy Wozniak. And so first we did these abstract tags, and then next we did what she called textured tags. So this was something I really enjoyed, a process of weaving different papers together and putting them onto tags. You can kind of see there's a lot of different textures in there. And so I learned a lot from her process. Even something as simple as weaving, she shared a lot of strategies that I found really helpful. She also showed us how to create some cool envelopes, and those envelopes we then used to do a tag trade. So every year in Fodder School at some point, there's a trade with all of the other artists who are taking the workshop, and so I mailed out about 20 of my tags and I received about 20 back. So this is just a sampling of some of the tags, the different interpretations that people had of this project. These are some of the different abstract papers that I got along in the tag trade as well. The next artist in May was Megan Quinlan, and she did a lot about watercolor and using watercolor in sort of a meditative way. So for the first part of the month, we did just a lot of different watercolor strategies, and she taught us specifically how to create these faces, and these were the faces that she taught me how to create. I was skeptical that I could do this, but through her, instruction, I was able to create some different faces. And then for the second half of the month, we created a book. So what I also ended up doing with the watercolor, the cool thing about Fodder School is that other artists, it's people from all over the world and people share videos. There's a Facebook group and Instagram, and Wendy Solganic, who is the founder of Fodder School, as well as Kate Makura, were doing these like watercolor flowers. So I was inspired by their patterns, and so started creating some of my own. And once I got kind of on a kick, I just couldn't stop. So I created a lot of these watercolor flowers during that month as well, kind of inspired by what was going on in the Fodder School classroom. And then the second project was creating these little books. So this one is kind of less developed, but Tracy had us create these books largely from kind of like scraps gathered on our desk, which is great because when I'm doing Fodder School, I end up with a lot of scraps. And so she showed us how to kind of take those things and put them together and create these little books. So it was a nice way of kind of using up some stuff. It's sort of like an artistic junk journal, I'd say. And so I just built out this little book, and I can continue adding, to something like that. So it's useful to have. Then we moved on to June, which was a really busy month for me. But the project involved using encaustics, which is like a wax, and I didn't feel like purchasing it at that time. I just didn't kind of have the extra funds to purchase a whole bunch more supplies. So the first part of the month was dyeing papers. It was led by Stephanie Lee. And so I did do the paper dyeing, and I often work in shades of pink. So that was a fun thing to do. And then we covered boxes. So I did use her technique to create a box lid, but I did not go as far as to use the encaustics. It's something that I hope to try out in the future. But that's another nice thing about Fodder School is no matter what, even if you don't have all the supplies, each month you can kind of just dig in to the things that you're interested in and not have to worry about buying every single supply, and you will definitely take something away from the lessons. The next month was probably my favorite in the entire Fodder School year, and this was a lesson by Rebecca Chapman, and it was all about using flowers as inspiration for creating papers. And so we used a lot of different strategies to create some really cool papers. Obviously, some are jelly printed, some are done in other ways, and I really was excited because I love using flower motifs. So she taught us some different strategies for creating these flower papers. And then what the project was that month was creating another book, but since I had just created a little book, I instead decided to cover some file folders with the papers that I made. But I used the same strategies that Rebecca had taught us, that she was using to collage for the books. I just put them onto file folders so that I had sort of a different end product that I could make use out of. And I love these papers. I've used them in a lot of different things outside of this, and these are techniques that I am 100% going to go back and use again in the future. So that was Rebecca Chapman. August, we created a bunch of different circles using many different techniques for creating circles. The artist was Carrie Smith, and the thing I found interesting about this was that I often use the same kind of colors in my art. This time I tried to venture into some slightly different colors and kind of experiment with them, and I was really excited by how things turned out. So we made all of these types of circles in different sizes. It was really sort of meditative to both create them, but then like just cut them out. And so that was a lot of fun. And her project was creating cards. So we created note cards with like matching envelopes using the circles. We did a lot of doodling that month, which was also really relaxing. And many of my doodles were inspired, like I said, by other Fodder School artists who were sharing their work at the time. And it was just a really fun, good project. It's something that I would leave on my desk. I would just leave these circles on my desk and kind of doodle on them whenever I had a free moment. And then I think it was Sarah Gardner taught us, who is another artist in Fodder School, who taught us how to make these mobiles. So she took her circles and then showed us how to put them together into a mobile. And I ended up making circles in a whole nother colorway actually as well, so that I could send one to my daughter. And so that was a really cool way to use one of the projects. And so again, something fun about Fodder School is that even there's one artist each month who is kind of in charge of teaching us techniques, but other artists will also chime in and show different strategies that they're using these techniques with and different products that they're making. So I did not finish my notebook. This is my Fodder School notebook where I keep track of everything that I've done in the class. But the final month was September, and the artist was Amanda Trout, and what she taught us was how to make how to do these kind of cool fabric collages, a lot of slow stitching. It was a great month to just do some slow stitching. Is really meditative. And we printed on fabric to start. We did slow stitching, making words and different patterns on fabric. So these are some of my unfinished ones, but I did a lot of embroidery and just stitching, like I said, which I found super relaxing. And then the final thing that we made in her class was these sort of wall hangings. So I have put some dowels in to hang them up. This is some fabric that I stamped on with a stamp that I carved myself. And then again, some stamping and some stitching. So these are kind of in various states of completion, but it was a really relaxing project for the final month of Fodder School. So I hope you enjoyed seeing my projects and the things that I've created this year. I highly encourage you to check out Fodder School. I think it's a really fun way to learn a lot of different techniques and kind of expand your art. I have, over the past 2 years I've done Fodder School, I have tried out different colors in my art. I have tried different techniques and different what do you call it, you know, supplies that I haven't used before and materials. And it's just really been a mind-opening experience about all the different ways that you can create things in multimedia art.